Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower, the show brought to you by Spreadex, Sporting Index and oddschecker as we look ahead to the weekend's football and say if we think the eventual results will be higher or lower than the midpoint of the spread betting market. I'm your host, George Ellick, delighted to be joined by Jack Wright.
Hello, George.
And also joined by Dan Worth.
Hello, George.
Not so delighted. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. Reading got their first point of the season.
And you watched it on your phone in a park?
That makes me sound really sad, doesn't it? But at least I watched it.
Yeah, on delay.
Yeah, slight delay.
Reading barely got out of their half, but when they did, they scored. Yeah. Jack, how are you?
I'm really well.
Yeah?
Very good, thank you.
Did you enjoy Harry Darling's long throw?
I enjoyed that, yeah. I enjoyed his free header from the 6-yard box as well prior to that. So all's good, and enjoyed listening to his interview after that as well. Comes across extremely well. Very nice young man.
An absolute darling.
Indeed so, and I'm looking forward to repeating the trick against Borough at the weekend.
Great stuff. Right, what a lovely start to the show. Let's get into it. We've got loads of action to get stuck into, and we're going to kick off with the Friday night football coming to you from the Championship. Derby County hosting Bristol City. Last time Derby County played at home, they scored 3 goals.
Yes!
They conceded 5 against Frank Lampard's.
Is that Roy Hodgson meme?
Yeah. They were 3-2 up in the game, but conceded 4 in the last 20 minutes or so. Total goals is the market for Derby Bristol City. Spreadex have the line as 2.2 to sell, 2.4 to buy. So 2.3 is the midpoint. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
What? What's going on?
Before you say what you're going to say,
yeah, you already know it, I'm sure.
If you hadn't put this as one of the games in the running order, this exact bet would be my nap.
As in, yeah.
My best bet of the weekend would be lower goals in this game.
Wow.
I think you need to start then because that's...
No, you go.
You're the outlier.
It's always the way.
Well, every time it's under 3 goals, I'll go higher.
Right.
No further questions, Your Honour?
Yeah, well, no, I've got this down as both teams scoring, so that's a great start
1-1.
for only needing 3. Potentially 1-1, that wouldn't be good for me. Both teams have been in and amongst the goals so far this season, this very short season.
Yeah.
Did you watch Bristol City play Sheffield United?
I did not, mate. I've just looked at the stats.
Right. What did the stats tell you?
There was 5 goals.
Keys that.
What happened in the next game?
Yeah.
So
I've ignored that.
The high, like your normal voice went up 2 octaves, which showed the surprise that you had in the fact that you were trying to justify going higher.
So Bristol City's manager is Gerhard Struber, right? And what we saw on opening day from Bristol City was an exhibition in how to expose a high line, right? Ruben Sayers, as you know, Sheffield United's new manager, Reading manager, his whole ethos and ideology around football is a high pressing mentality, playing a high line, energy, like aggressively direct in terms of running and the way that you play the game. And Bristol City, with their pace on the break, were able to expose that high line fairly consistently. The fact that Blades also had a couple of players out injured didn't help. In their next game, they faced Charlton at home. Nathan Jones these days is all about clean sheets. He's all about dogged defensiveness, low defensive line. And Bristol City therefore weren't able to use their incredible counter-attacking ability to good effect, and the game finished 0-0. Now in Derby's case, them having the games they've had so far this season, losing to Stoke on opening day 3-1, and then losing to Coventry 5-3 is so weird. Because in John Eustace, they have a manager who's proven over quite a long period of time now that he is incredibly good at drilling a defence, at playing like low margin football, and to concede 8 goals in 2 games in the league so far this season would have given him nightmares. And I have absolutely no doubt that on the training pitch this week, it's been all about A, defensive shape, and B, defending set pieces, because they were terrible at defending set pieces in this game. So it's going to be a repeat in terms of the stylistic way this game will look, where I think Derby will sit deep. Bristol City won't have the space to do to Sheffield United what they did to them. And Derby should be way better drilled and will be focusing on making sure that they don't concede. So, yeah, this is I'll be backing 0-0, and I think unders is a big bet here. Anything to say about?
No, I mean, I just can't ignore
having done that, you're going to be right now. So
no, I'm well aware, and I just generally, no matter what the stylistics are, I'd much rather be on my side than your side in a game, in any game, really. But 12 goals in the first 2 Derby games. Scored
unsustainable.
An average of 2 in each. I just can't look at that and go.
Does that come from 12 XG?
No.
So,
I wouldn't have thought so.
So therefore, has got to like at some stage probably even out, isn't it?
Variance.
Jack.
I was listening to you and I felt like that person when someone's having an argument in the background going, yeah, because you basically made every single point that I was going to, the main point being John Eustace. No, not at all. No, it was great hearing it put more eloquently than I could have done. I just think that, John Eustace will go on the training pitch. That was my main point going to be really, and after conceding all those goals, he'd be having sleepless nights. So he will absolutely look to right that wrong and go back to type, and I think he'll do it in this one. And that Bristol City Charlton game was the kind of final echo that I wanted, what I expect to see. So lower for me.
Lower as well. Let's get into your comfort zone.
Yeah, let's move on.
The Premier League. An all-London clash. The early kick-off on Saturday. West Ham hosting Chelsea. Chelsea just about the favourites for this one, Ms. Bredex. We're looking at the supremacy market, so the amount of goals by which the favourite will beat the underdog. Chelsea over West Ham is 0.8. To sell, 1 to buy, so 0.9 is the midpoint, which means that just about higher here. So a Chelsea win would be a winner. Lower is West Ham or draw. 3, 2, 1. All in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, take us away.
Yeah, I saw both these sides last week, albeit on TV.
Right.
Yeah, and both were very poor and both were really disappointing. I'd probably say
the world champions.
The world champions were disappointing, I expected more from them.
And the World Cup winners in 1966.
Yeah, indeed. I know. Yeah. So, to be fair, that 1966 World Cup team probably could have put a better showing out than that West Ham side I saw last week against Sunderland. They were terrible. Chelsea, you just expect better from them, I think. You can put it down as a sort of bad day at the office. Cole Palmer was ineffective. I think he does so much for Chelsea that when he has a quiet game, that tends to leak out into the rest of the side. But West Ham against Sunderland was a real shocker, to be fair. Not too bad in the first half, but woeful after that. And once they conceded, it was game over. I spoke to a West Ham fan yesterday who said he's not even going to go to this opening game of the season. He's going out for dinner instead. So that pretty much sums up where the fan base is as well on that one.
What's he eating?
I don't know. I didn't want to push him further on that.
Always my first question is someone says to go out for dinner. What are you having?
Right. I'll find out next time I speak to him what he had. Yeah, for you. And so it's 1 win and 8 now for West Ham. So going back to the stats on that, obviously going into last season, as we have to at this point in time, they're not really strengthened at all. That midfield looks poor. James Ward-Prowse was in there, and there's no real legs in that midfield. Defensively shaky as they come. Conceded a couple of headers as well. And reliant on Bowen. I think if you shut Bowen out, as I'm sure Chelsea will aim to do, then the rest is not much to get excited about. So Chelsea won the last 3 head-to-heads, and I expect them to extend that run. I think they'll look to show that last week was a one-off, come back to win this one. I think they've got too much firepower, too much variety, and I expect Delap to have a bit of a game in this one. He might not start, but I think he come off the bench, and that aerial, physical presence, I think, could be a difference maker towards the end of the game. So ultimately, the fact that we can take Chelsea here just as a straight win is the given for me.
Good stuff. Dan, how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can hide from the fact Chelsea were underwhelming, as you say. But I'd be quite surprised if we see another underwhelming performance here, and purely because West Ham were way more underwhelming. They were awful, as you say. I think Chelsea were quite poor going forward, which is not really something we expected. And I've been saying all pre-season how good they're going to be going forward, so we haven't seen that yet. But that doesn't mean we won't see it here. But they also didn't really concede that much in their opening game. And only Aston Villa, who obviously had the red card, registered fewer XG than West Ham in their first game. So I don't really see West Ham getting much luck going forward here. So I think, as you say, just needing a Chelsea win is quite lovely, really. So higher.
Oh,
Lovely.
What a word to use. I'm a bit worried about West Ham. That's kind of the main point here. I think with the line where it is, with it being 0.9, you have a decision to make. It was 1.1, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But just on the Chelsea odds on to win this game, it seems like the easy way to play this. I think with Chelsea as well, it's easy to get bogged down in one poor performance, but I do think Palace are a pretty tough nut to crack. And West Ham do not look that at the moment. Obviously, Graham Potter will be desperate to get one over his old club, I would have thought, but they this time last year, it felt like it was really hard to make a case why some clubs would be bad enough to get sucked into the relegation battle, and that turned out to be the case. This season, it feels like you can make a case for like 4 or 5 to be one of them, and West Ham is certainly one of those.
Yeah. Just a quick one on that relegation battle, as you then talked about it, obviously very briefly, but I think a large part this season where there's a bit of confidence that the promoted sides could be a bit more competitive is that fan base. Both Leeds and Sunderland have like 40,000 supporters roaring them on.
Ignoring Burnley?
I am. Yeah, because they haven't got that, and
Yeah.
I think they'll finish bottom by some distance. But I think the other two will be pretty competitive, and with 2 home wins to start the season, I think that momentum will go on. But I'd certainly be selling the points of those sides that, as you then said, are West Ham, Wolves, Brentford, certainly.
Yeah, I've got a quick question. Graham Potter, I spoke pre-season about how I'd be backing him as the first Premier League manager to go. How long do you think he gets? Because obviously quite a poor back end of last season and not
he's been
a
given
great
the vote
start
of
to
confidence this week as well, hasn't he?
Oh, has he? I've missed that.
He's the 5-2 favourite.
Yeah, 12-1 last week.
Is he expensive to get rid of? I'd imagine he would be, which I think would be the only saving grace for him to take a little bit longer. But it depends how the other sides at the bottom for me do. I think when Iriola had that real bad start a couple of seasons ago, I think he was given a bit more time because no one at the bottom was winning games. If they're not the case this season as we think it might be, then that puts a bit more pressure on.
Tell you what, David Moyes 25-1.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Big price. Anyway, right, so we are looking at now Man City hosting Tottenham is the next game. We're going to preview total goal minutes is the market here. So the total of cumulative minutes in which goals are scored within the game. 174 is the midpoint, 166 to sell, 181 to buy with spread X. Are we going higher or are we going lower? 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
it's quite high, isn't it?
Here we go again. Here we go again.
Well,
new season, same old Dan.
There's always goals in this fixture, isn't there?
yes, there is.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. It's unsustainable.
Either that or either in games there have been goals that still ended up under the 174.
Yeah, not happened in the last 4.
Okay.
The
About time then, isn't it?
fewest was 174, so that would be a push.
There you go.
The 3-3 before the 4-0 win was
3-3. 194.
4-2 the game before that, 3-4-6.
3-3 draw and you're only getting 20-point profit.
Mate, it's like 20 points profit. If you looked at my last week's results, you'd know that I'm more than happy with 20-point profit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, nothing has changed for these two sides since that 3-3.
No.
Yes, okay, but goals at the Etihad when these two sides meet. Spurs winning 4-0 last time out. Haaland scores for fun in August. We know that. He's 21 goals in 9 games in August.
He loves August.
He loves August.
Yeah.
Can't blame him. It's lovely time of year.
He kind of loves all
Every year I
games in the
forget how
Premier
much I
League.
like August and September. Yeah, and I kind of like the cooler, darker nights. Carry on.
Was it that boring? But we're getting the weather in on the goals
Correct.
chat with me. Speaking, higher. I think there's going to be goals. Again, both teams look good going forward. In their opener, Richarlison looks like prime R9. I think this could be fun. It's the game of the weekend for me.
Richarlison looks like prime R9.
It's the comparison he's making from himself, isn't it? Come on.
Okay. Jack?
It's a high line, isn't it?
It's a high line.
It's a high
I
line.
hope you clip that quote up and when you do your social cut down.
I can do, just for you.
Okay.
What, the high line one?
No,
right.
yeah.
R9. Yeah. Okay. I was impressed with both sides last week, but we're at that stage of the season where you go, am I impressed with you because you're a good side, or is it the fact the opposition were dreadful? Is it a combination of the two? We'll have to wait and see. As far as the game here is concerned, I'm not quite certain what the outcome will be. I'd probably side with a little bit of value on City winning it, but my setup is the reason I've gone lower. My setup, their setup for Spurs is the reason I've gone lower. I think Thomas Frank is more of a pragmatic manager, a manager that will be inclined to adjust as according to the opposition. Last weekend, they obviously played Burnley, took out his 2 holding midfielders, such played a difference in the middle of the park. Pellegrini was on the bench, Bentancur was on the bench. I'd expect both of them to come back for this game. Possibly they were left out last week for that reason. I think a bit of a template performance was that PSG. I know there was 4 goals in that, and it unravelled a bit towards the end, but I'd take that situation again and look for them to close out the game better. But I think that'll be their template for this one. Go to more of a 3-4-1-2 situation, say Pellegrini and Bentancur in the middle, look to keep it tight, look to keep in the game, look to nullify that threat for Manchester City. I think when you've got a side that will want to try and nullify the other to get a foothold, I'm happier for a very high line as it is to be going lower.
Surely leads to late goals though, doesn't it?
Well, it could do, but you do need two very late goals really for this to be. And there is, if you throw in the goals out, there is a bit of history of early goals in this fixture.
Yeah,
but
there is.
I generally think that Thomas Frank is the key element of this, and
I
the
agree.
fact that how he goes about it.
So Brentford finished 10th last season. So they played 9 teams away from home. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
The score lines were 2-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 3-1, 2-0, 0-0, 2-1. So only one game was 4 goals or more, which is probably what you're going to need in order to hit this. Let's get a couple of late goals. As Jack says, I think with Thomas Frank, especially away from home, there's an element of control that he likes to have, and I think he certainly won't be fighting fire with fire. And I think they'll be looking to kind of contain City rather than take the game to them. So yeah, I'm on board with everything. We're so aligned today.
We are very much so.
It's great. On to Arsenal versus Leeds. First match goal, the market we're looking at here. So this is the minute in which the first goal is scored. 30 to sell, 33 to buy. 31.5 is the midpoint. So lower here would be for there to be a goal within the first 31 minutes. Higher is 0-0 at that point in the game. 3, 2, 1. We're all in agreement.
Hey.
Yeah, a couple of things. Firstly, Arsenal obviously didn't look great from an attacking perspective in their opening day fixture against Manchester United. Didn't look great from a defensive perspective either, but still managed to keep a clean sheet. Obviously, they'll be buzzing with the Abere Eze news, albeit he won't be able to play because I'm pretty sure he won't play, having played on Thursday night for Palace in Europe. But I think the key thing for me here, and I think there's an opportunity with most Leeds games, is that there's this perception that Leeds, I've heard it spoken about loads, that Leeds under Daniel Farke are this like free-flowing team, like amazing attacking players, like really end-to-end. It's just a total and utter myth. Like they are very good going forward. They have got really good attacking players, but the cornerstone for Leeds' success in the Championship and the cornerstone for their success even against Everton on Monday night is being an unbelievably good defensive side. Like no team could get near them. It was only having a poor keeper last season that meant that they didn't win the league by miles last season. The signs from Monday night, albeit against a poor Everton side, is that they're going to be the same again. They're a really tough nut to crack, and Arsenal are a really tough nut to crack. These are 2 tough nuts up against each other, and I think it's going to be probably relatively turgid in a low-scoring affair. So yeah, I think there's the perception and reality with Leeds are 2 very different things. That might change as the season goes on, possibly, because obviously being a good defensive side in the Championship is very different to being a good defensive side in the Premier League. But right now, we have to go off the evidence that we can see, and that's the Leeds are good at the back. Jack?
Yeah, I agree. I think also there's a bit of a perception that at home Arsenal are a rampant side that come out of the traps and smash loads of goals in. I look back on all their games last season at home, and it's a very even split with this line higher or lower, 10 higher and 9 lower. So it's probably as even as you can get when there's 19 games involved. And I agree. I think Leeds will look to keep it tight. They're away from home. They're going to look to try and get a foothold in the game. They can't afford to concede early. I think at this level, their attack, albeit a good attack, we saw they struggled to kind of create very good chances against Everton. They only had a couple of non-penalty shots on target in that game, and that was obviously at home against a lesser light in the division. So to go to the Emirates, I think will be a tough nut to crack to add to that. And I also think Daniel Farke, having had this accusation a little bit that he's a little bit too gung-ho, a little bit too front foot, his experiences last time, he's at pains to sort of play down, and I think he'll want to have a little bit more of evidence that he can adapt to the surroundings and show that he'll look to keep resolute. And Arsenal, we know, are main strength set pieces. They needed that set piece last week to get the win. They scored loads of goals from set pieces last season. They are strong, and I think Leeds have recruited extremely well to be very tight defensively and defend set pieces extremely well, as they showed last week. So yeah, for me, I think this might be a slow burner, and it'll go into the second half until there's a goal.
Daniel? Yeah,
not really anything to add other than my usual, that this is bang on the average for Premier League games, 31. So nothing out of the ordinary there. Both teams look pretty strong defensively, so I'm with you both that might be a low scorer. So higher is likely to cash, just to get a nut pun in because you two both.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
Right, Fulham United.
Fulham hosting Manchester United. We've got 2 more games to cover. United are favourites for this one. The spread X, the Supremacy market has them 0.15 to sell, 0.35 to buy. So again, higher here is the United win on the road. Lower is Fulham or draw. 3, 2, 1. I knew this was going to happen.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, look how good they were.
They're back, aren't
They
they?
were so good.
They're back.
We've been here before. They were at home.
Last week.
Arsenal went great. You guys, obviously thought you saw something. Whatever. Let's see. It's going to take more than one good performance in a game where they were behind from the 12th minute onwards to suggest any otherwise to me. Fulham put in a decent display on opening day. They drew 1-1 at a better team than United and Brighton. Is that how is that not? How is that controversial?
No, I don't find it controversial.
How many more points did Brighton get last season?
Loads. I don't find it controversial.
Fine.
But I know people who will.
Who?
Well, Man United fans.
Well, they've got inherent bias.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think United every chance they win this, obviously, but Fulham or draw has to be the likelier eventuality in my mind. Dan, why are United going to beat Fulham away?
Got quite a good record at Fulham, haven't they?
Have they?
Yeah, they've won all of the last 6.
Wow, that sounds unsustainable to me.
And you focused a lot of your argument on Man United, which
No, I didn't. I just said Fulham got
fair enough.
Fulham got a good point last weekend against a better team than United.
Did they look good going forward, do you think?
Fine. Away from home.
Fine. Yeah, it didn't create much XG though, did they?
0.7.
Yeah, and Mboimo and Cunha had more than that combined.
Yeah.
United registered twice as much XG as Fulham, coming up against probably the best defence in the league.
Behind for much longer. Game state,
They were.
And they were at home and Fulham were away.
Yep, both also correct. Obviously, if this had been Man United needing to win by more than one goal, I would be steering way clear. But for United just to win here, like they have done in the last 6, at Fulham, I think is pretty possible. Just not very impressed by Fulham going forward. And although there was a nice clip on Soccer Saturday of, I can't even remember who it was, but saying they need 6 years before they're going to score, and then they went and scored straight away. It was hilarious, but yeah, I just didn't think they would look very good. Was it Merce? Yeah. Didn't look very good going forward, and I'm genuinely not overreacting to Man United's performance. It was okay, but they did look better going forward than they did last season, even if it's just marginally. So looking at the head-to-heads and seeing that they won all of their last 6, you'd think they have more chance of winning than they did this time last season or whenever they played last season. So yeah, higher for me.
Okay, Jack?
Yeah, I think Man United did okay last week. I thought that they deserved something out of the game. Didn't get it, and I thought the opposite applied to Fulham. I thought they were poor against Brighton. A late goal to snatch that. So the XG was 1.6 versus 0.7. And Fulham have a trend at this moment in time going from back into last season and in that game where they're conceding lots of chances, and they have been conceding a lot of goals. Only one signing over the summer as well. So this is, relatively speaking, a bit of a kind of a fade of Fulham as much as being uber confident on Manchester United. But I think this is the sort of game Man United can go there and win. It seems a little bit stale at Fulham. I think something needs to kind of change. They ended the season poorly, and again, I'm not going to be convinced by the fact they did snatch that late point. Brighton should have won that game and didn't. They've conceded 2 or more goals in each of the last 4 home league games, 7 of the last 10. If you're conceding 2 or more at home on that regular basis, the question being, of course, can Manchester United find the players to score those goals? We'll have to wait and see. That's where the jury's out at this moment in time. We discussed the overperformance for that Cunha and Mboimo last season, and we've got to see what Sesko does in the league. But I'm going to take the chance that they can. As you said, all you need is a win here, so I'll take a chance that they can snatch a win against this Fulham side.
Taking a big old chance. Finally, Newcastle, Liverpool, a game with a storied history of goals.
Yeah.
You've read his notes.
Yeah. Goals cubed is the marker we're looking at here. The Alexander Isak derby. Ironically, his presumed absence will make there probably less goals than we would have thought. 48.5 is the midpoint here. 45 to sell, 52 to buy. Are we going higher or lower? 3,
Easy.
2, 1.
What?
Well, because Newcastle are 0-0.
Yeah,
Did you watch the game?
I did, mate.
They looked, I thought, really good.
Really?
Especially from an attacking perspective. Yeah, Villa are a good side. No one does that to Villa. Villa, it's the first time Villa haven't had a shot in a half under Unai Emery. I thought Newcastle were really impressive. Liverpool's opening game is obviously very, very open. I think I made a case last week as to why I thought the new signings may take a while to impact, but it wasn't the case at all. They looked to settle really quickly. I think the additions they've made in terms of Frimpong and Wirtz and Ekitike make them just a generally more attacking side. And this is basically a derby game now because these are two clubs kind of almost at war over a player. And that's going to add, I think, a bit of extra spice, a bit of impetus for Liverpool to go and win it. Newcastle will be absolutely desperate to win this one. And yeah, 48.5, often in the Premier League, you see lines where you're going to have to hit 4 in order to kind of break even. But here, 4 makes up 64, and then 125, and so on and so forth. So I'll be betting overs here, and I'm keen to get goals inside in this one. Dan, why have you neglected your goal stance?
Well, didn't do very well in this market last week, did I?
Was it 0-0?
Yeah, was it the Chelsea game that we did?
Yeah.
Cubed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Quality.
0-0.
Yeah.
Boo. This didn't land in either game last season between these two.
Yeah.
As you know, historic results mean a lot to me. I think Newcastle keep things quite tight. I mean, they didn't really come under any threat because of the red card. And I don't think Liverpool have things their own way, but I'm not convinced that Newcastle come to the scoring party here. And I think looking at this line, if you're going into it assuming one team doesn't score, needing Liverpool to score 4 here, although they did it in their opener.
Yep.
It's quite a big ask. So purely on that basis, I'm going lower.
I think Newcastle are definitely going to score. Jack?
Yeah, my concern is who does score the goals for Newcastle. There's a couple of really big chances that they missed. They haven't got a recognised striker. They obviously play Gordon through the middle. They do look very lively. They did create some good chances. I was expecting Villa to win that game and win it well, and I was very, very wrong on that. And I could be very wrong on this one because this obviously has got a massive history of goals and both sides can be very open. I think Gravenberch coming back for Liverpool will be quite a big thing as far as trying to shore up that middle of the park. That midfield battle will be a very exciting one to watch. Not a strong opinion, but I've got that more of a gut shot. It's going to be lower. One thing I do like in this game, and I can't remember who the referee is, you're now going to tell me, but bookings in this, given the nature of it, given the atmosphere.
Spicy.
Very spicy, very spicy.
Keep talking.
There's two games I like for bookings for the fact the game's going to be very spicy this weekend, and that is this one, Newcastle-Liverpool, and also the other one is Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest, given the fact that Anthony Taylor's at the whistle there, and he warmed up nicely last night in Europe with a red card and about 7 yellows.
I think this is the worst possible booking. Oh, it was a good one. Simon Hooper.
Oh, Hoops. Yeah, he's not one I like, to be fair, but...
The Hoop Dog. I mean, looking at last season...
Yeah, he's got the potential. It's either it'll be one or the other. So I think sometimes he doesn't have an option, and this one could be. You look at that middle of the park. I could already see 6 bookings in the middle with the players that are there. So I think that's big, and I do like that narrative with the Palace Forest
really nice
game as well.
I'll check that one as well.
So with Anthony Taylor in charge of that one.
But he's
no, but last night he was in Europe and he sent off and 7 yellows. So. Again, I think it could be one that he...
but he often just does 0, doesn't he?
Well, cover it with a 0-0 draw and no cards is 150 to 1.
Wow.
Not that I've...
Right. Dan, have you said no? You
Yeah.
already have. Cool, done. Nap of the week.
Oi.
Nap King.
Yes, I'm going to the Championship.
Oh, no, poor you.
You should be lucky.
I'm going... Yeah, nice. I'm going to Birmingham
Oxford.
versus Oxford United.
Wow.
And I reckon you're
selling
buying
Birmingham.
the Birmingham Supremacy at like 0.9 or something.
No, it actually was over 1. So
There you
I'm
go.
avoiding that. But I'm basically buying any goals market here, but the one I'm picking is Birmingham goal minutes at 94, which I was actually quite surprised is so low. The match goal minutes line is just over 130, so obviously Birmingham
We're
are
being
gonna make
fact
up.
in for 40. Yeah.
Not going to happen, I don't think.
Whoa. Whoa.
Only a handful of teams have conceded more XG than Oxford on the road in the Championship so far this season, and been late goals for Birmingham. 2 late goals against Blackburn made up 118. 87th minute winner in the Cup against Sheffield United, and obviously you guys conceded late against Hull. Annoyingly, I've been impressed by Birmingham after sort of slating them a little bit, and I just think they'll have their way with your yellows. I'm afraid, mate, and 94 looks quite attainable here. So, buy of Birmingham goal minutes.
Birmingham goal minutes, fine. Yeah, you do that. I think you're probably going to win. Jack?
I wanted to play West Brom headed goal minutes against Portsmouth this weekend, but unfortunately that market's not available at this current time. So I've gone with the same market in a different game. I've gone Burnley versus Sunderland. I have gone Sunderland headed goal minutes. It's a low risk, high reward market. It's the midpoint of 10.5. I am going higher. Obviously, a great start for Sunderland. They'll be buoyant going to Burnley. Sunderland became the first side to have 3 players, quiz time by the way, the first side to have 3 players score on their Premier League debut in the same game since 2006.
Wow, well, we were.
And that side who did that were?
Don't know.
Ready?
Yes.
Oh, pathetic.
Oh, how many Oxford goals in the Prem?
None yet. And I don't think there'll be some for a while. Okay.
August the 19th, so
yeah.
Virtually to the day. Sunderland scored 2 headed goals. It's not a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I just felt that Burnley looked susceptible to crosses. Sunderland made the most of that couple of crosses they put in. Daniel Ballard obviously looked an absolute monster, yeah. And could have a chance here. And I think also the extra factor to that is the Burnley defence, of course, has been ripped apart to a certain extent. They are missing James Trafford in net. Of course, they've got Dubravka, but he looks a little bit more. He's a bit more kind of rooted to his line, and I think Sunderland could see that as a weakness. And I think it'll take a little bit of time for that defence to gel, if it does at all. And therefore, I'm going with this, say, way in on a low line. So yeah, 10.5 the midpoint.
Love it. I'm in the same game.
Oh.
In the 10-5 Supremacy market. So this is where 10 points are awarded for the team winning the match, and an additional 5 points per goal won by. So if you win by solitary goal, it's 15,
yes.
25 if you go -1, and so on and so forth. And I'm selling Burnley over Sunderland at 1. Basically think Sunderland should be favourites for this game, and I also think that because of Burnley's poor defensive unit at the moment, it's been torn apart, as you said, from the back of last season, because of Sunderland's buoyancy, having stuck 3 past West Ham last weekend. If it does go Sunderland's way, I think they might possibly kind of run riot here. So yeah, that's the mark I'm looking at. I think Sunderland are a much better side, even though they're away from home. I think that's going to become apparent over the next few weeks, even though there was a big gap between them last season. They're basically different teams now.
Very much so.
And Régis Lebris, I think, more suited to the task at hand maybe than Scotty P.
Who is my pick to be the first manager to be sacked again.
15-2. There we have it. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Higher or Lower. We'll be back again next week. But in the meantime, make sure you sign up for a SpreadX account or a Sporting Index account if you haven't already. There is a new customer offer. T's and C's do apply. Click on the link in the show description. And do remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit. Oddschecker have you covered for your fixed odds betting needs, and WhoScored.com has all the stats to help you inform your betting. Thank you to Jack.
Thank you, George.
Thank you to Dan.
Thanks, George.
See you next week. In the meantime, enjoy the football and please ensure that you're gambling responsibly.